So I'm a little distracted. I'm actually in my car, but I wanted to try and do this for you. So I guess kind of right-clicked on the chart. I brought up buy limit order, and then I dragged it and dropped it to where I wanted it to be. So we'll see how this goes. This strong push-up, I'm going to be cautious once it hits this right here. This red line, just so you know, represents the where we're looking for to take an exit if we need to. The green line is my target. Now, let's talk about the potential for divergence to come up. So look what's happened. The MACDs and the price have pushed down. This is the weak retracement that we've seen so far, which tells us that we're going to have the potential for divergence because it's going to take a lot of work for those MACDs to get up and equal this previous pivot point. Same with the 1597 MACDs. Tons and tons of work. And it looks like it's hitting our area, and I'm not too concerned with it right now. We're just going to kind of let it run for a moment. I'm going to pull my stop in a tick. Actually, I like it. 1, 2, yep. I'm going to pull in a tick. Hopefully you can hear this. I don't know if the mic is on. I've never used this before. So now the zero line is a teeny bit of a concern here. But, oh, excuse me, but you're still above everything on your 1597. There's room to go to the zero line. We've reached that area. We're exceeding it. So I'm pretty comfortable. As long as this doesn't close right in the same spot, pretty comfortable with letting it run a little bit. There's still a lot of strength in the MACDs going to the upside here. They've had a very weak push up in the 1597. So I am just watching this right now. Even consider moving it to a break even, but if I do that, it's really risky in getting taken out at that point. I will take one more tick off the risk though. Now what we want to see happen here is this pull back and then take right back off to the upside. What I don't like is a strong push up, and that's all we saw as a reaction in the MACDs in the 1597. So if this gives me a push back up to the upside, I'm going to move my stop up to a break even. Once we exceed this close right here, we close beyond that close. I will move my stop up to a break even. So this is the point where I tell myself, nothing's changed, nothing's changed. We're still continuing in that same direction. I'm going to watch this price bar, see if it pushes up beyond that area, and then we're going to a break even after that. It equaled it. It hasn't pushed beyond it. I really want to see it push beyond it. Your MACDs are really in favor for it right now on the 610. You're starting to get a little bit of a turn on the 1597. I like this little bar pulling back here as a great space to put my stop. But like I said, I'm going to wait a little bit and make sure it closes beyond this close. This tail here doesn't give me a whole lot of hope. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and move it to a break even so that if it does pull back, I'm not going to lose anything on this trade with the exception of commissions. All right, we may even be able to push this up a little bit further, but I think with doing this trade live, which I'm not used to doing, I'll just let this go ahead and run. Let it hit my stop and take me, or hit my target and take me out. Oh, it's going to keep going. Let's talk a little bit how we can determine where it might go to. I use the Fibonacci extensions, right? So I start from the bottom, and I go from the closes, not the bars. Close, close, close. And we'll look at where that went in just a moment once we look at where this one goes to. So I would assume seeing it move all the way up to somewhere right in here. So let's just watch it for a moment and see what happens. Now we do have definitely the potential for divergence going on though, which may mean a slowdown. So we can see here, MACD is leading way lower as we have equaled that price. They're also leading way lower here. So let's talk a little bit about what to anticipate next. I don't like to take a trade this close into a divergence, and I'm not a huge fan of taking trades off of the 233. When I got into this trade, I literally had my charts open for just a minute or two. I was trying to get what I usually use to record working. It wasn't, so it was kind of a quick mess to get into it. But if you're looking for this to continue, this is your pullback. Let's get a chart marker arrow up. Oops, sorry. So you would want to get in somewhere about right there, which obviously if we were getting in right now, it would be too late for me. But if it's going to push, you're going to have and I don't have my mouse on me right now, so I'm moving it real slow with my fingers. Have your stop about right there. We'd really want to see it push through this area, and we're looking for way up here next. I think I have my mouse. I thought I grabbed it before I left the house, but maybe not. Nope. Okay. So the potential for divergence does not mean divergence, even though we still see a potential here. You'd really want it to push through this area if you had gotten into a trade at this point. You really want to see it push through, and if it doesn't, I would consider getting out, but it's going to go because look at all the strength you have in this. Just look at the distance between these. And I love how this kind of just rolls off of it and everything continues in the same direction. I haven't even looked at what happened this morning. Yep, your 230 or your 610 stayed above your 1597, telling you that it was going to continue up. It gave you lots of opportunities right here if you wanted to get in. There were quite a few in this area if you like that as well. And let's watch it go. And guess what's happened here? Potential for divergence, like I said, does not mean divergence, because look here. Now we have equaled that previous pivot on the 610, which means no divergence there. You're really trying hard on this one. Oh, and by the way, something I didn't mention, when you do have a cluster like this, typically I will put my stop a tick or two below, which it may not have, or my target a tick or two below, which it may not have hit it here. And it looks like it's trying to give a pretty strong turn back to, if it continues up from here, then you'll move your stop a couple ticks behind here, but you want to wait for it to push past this point before you move your stop. And we'll probably see why in just a moment. Let me put that. I like to have this in the look as it should properly. So if this pushes up, your potential for divergence is completely gone. Now, the job of divergence is not necessarily to change the trend of the market, but it's to really push that price back down. And I call it the job of divergence because that's just the way I've always described it. But, you use divergence in a way that you're looking for it to just push you back in the opposite direction. A lot of times it was to change the trend of the market, which you will consider it changed probably at this point, even though it's really not, with a lot of the strength up still in your higher time frames. Which is a really great place actually for it to go from, right in here, right where this pivot was, right where it held us up before. It's a really great place for it to take off and continue to the upside. So I'm waiting for this to take off up there before I move a stop up. It's been a very weak retracement in the MACDs on the 1597. So it does still have, the chance. The 610 MACDs are pretty, they're pretty angled and they have distance. So it did a sharp turn here and they're pretty angled and they have distance. So it may not continue up. It may. If you were in this trade, once it hit this area and it gave you the double bar and started to close down, probably would have been out of that trade. And here you can see why you don't move your stop up too fast if you decide to stay in it. I don't know how this is going to pan out, but it doesn't look good for it. When you have this little tiny bar like this, a lot of times that tells me that we're getting a shift in the opposite direction. It's nothing that I've ever recorded or really say to much people, but that tiny bar is just kind of like exhaustion to me. When you've had this really hard push and then,